I have received tons of messages about COPPA. It is the Child Online Privacy Protection Act. I think that's what COPPA stands for. And basically, new rules are going to be imposed starting January 1st, 2020. And this is the end of YouTube as we know it. No joke, no lie. This is it. YouTube as we know it will end. But YouTube will survive, and I'm gonna be rich. This is great. I am so excited to watch all of these horrifying plans that YouTube is enacting. Well, I can kick back and line my pockets with gold. You see, the thing about child's content, I don't fall into any of these categories, which means as COPPA comes into play and they begin stripping ads from fun gaming channels, guess who's going to reap the rewards? The ad spend will not go down. The ad spends are increasingly going up. So here's what happens. If you make content that could in any way be for kids, they are going to take away targeted advertising from you, which is around 80 to 90% of your revenue on YouTube. So here's the thing. I am being a bit silly, but dude, I fully expect political channels, it is going to be a windfall next year. I'll tell you what, not only do we have 2020 around the corner, politicians are buying ads like crazy. We got Tom Steyer, $63.4 million so far. Bloomberg, $37 million starting this week. All of that money is coming to political channels. Combine that with the new COPPA rules, politics will be your king. People are going to realize that if you make a video talking about, I don't know, you got the Bulls, right? And they're playing basketball and you show Benny the Bull. It's like, oh, cartoon character appealing to kids. They take away targeted advertising, which means basically, my understanding is advertisers can't choose your channel or specific things about your channel. It can just be a blanket ad. So here's the first thing. A lot of people are freaking out. Millions of views are, people are saying it's the end. And I think to an extent, it is bad for everybody. Okay, outside of news and politics, we are going to be we're going to be laughing all the way to the bank. Here's the thing, though: if they get rid of targeted advertising for everybody, you're not going to lose that much money. Okay, let's be serious for a minute. What's going to happen is if all of the big channels like Jake Paul, PewDiePie use targeted ads, but they all simultaneously lose targeted ads, your revenue will likely go down, but not by 80 or 90%. A lot of people are freaking out. Listen. The only reason 80 or 90% of your revenue is coming from targeted ads is because everyone uses targeted ads. If advertisers can't reach an audience that way, they'll still spend their money. So let's read this story, but I will stress to all those political YouTubers out there, I hope you're ready to line your pockets with gold as these new rules come into effect and all the politicians start dumping dollar bills on our heads. It's going to make it rain. Okay, it's going to be good for everybody. This is bad for a lot of reasons, though. I think it's going to increase polarization, and I think it's going to result in a ton of grifters, right? Like real grifters, it's a slur the left likes to use to accuse people who don't fall in line with their moral authoritarianism. They say, you're a grifter, you're lying. No, listen, man. My opinions are my opinions. I made a video the other day. It got some dislikes, okay? Because I gave some defense to Sarkeesian saying, like, dude, let her have her opinion. Like, stop engaging, And people got mad about it, but it's fine. It's fine. I get it. You got your opinion. I got mine. You don't got to like my opinions. But anyway, let's read. Oh, no. So let me wrap that point up. A lot of these creators who have decent-sized audiences, who do video games and stuff, yeah, they're going to lose money. And so you know what you do if you want to make sure your videos aren't for kids? You just make it political because kids don't care about that stuff. So here's a story from Variety. YouTube starting this month is requiring all creators, regardless of a location and whether or not they produce content intended for children, to designate whether their videos are made for kids. And many YouTubers are concerned that the new rules will hurt their monetization or even expose them to fines if their content is mislabeled. I'll tell you what. So here's what happened, right? I got a notice on YouTube, and it said you must go to the new YouTube studio and determine whether or not your content is for children. Well, my content is easily not for children. Anybody who watched my content and tried to claim that children would care about the current polls pertaining to impeachment is lying. My audience is in their 30s. So I'm sitting here, I'm sitting pretty. I'm like, man, bring on the change. I don't care. But, so I went in and I had to hit a button saying all of my videos in no way will ever be for kids. But here's the thing. Almost all content is. Almost all of it. So this really is the end of YouTube as we know it. Markets will determine what content is produced. Jake Paul exists because 8-year-olds buy his t-shirts. But if Jake Paul can't sell ads against 8-year-olds anymore, he will change his content. Everything is going to become substantially more adult, but still kind of family friendly and a bit political. Because I'll tell you what, man, this new change, it is going to make political commentary a gold mine. They say the change is the result of YouTube's $170 million settlement with the FTC and the New York Attorney General for alleged violations of the U.S. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA. The law prohibits internet companies from collecting data on kids 13 and under, and YouTube was accused of violating the law. So basically, here's how it stands. If an advertiser wants to target somebody, and it turns out Google knows the data of that individual, well, they broke the law. YouTube has to then stop collecting data on any video that on viewers who may be watching content for kids. It's complicated, okay? I may be getting it wrong a bit, but basically, if your video is for children in any way, YouTube has to be careful about who they're collecting data from, even if those kids are breaking the TOS. So YouTube can't target those viewers based on the data they collect. Now, for my channel, which is for adults, YouTube can target them specifically. This means, so I'll put it this way. When you buy ads on YouTube, you can buy an ad for 1 penny and just tell YouTube, throw it wherever you want. Those ads are mostly worthless. Why would I want to advertise my political content on a cooking show? I wouldn't do that. If I was going to buy ads to promote my product, which is my opinion and political and cultural commentary, which is relevant to only a small subsection of the population, I'm specifically going to target cultural and political channels. I want my advertisement to appear on, say, the Young Turks or Louder with Crowder. But imagine if the only option I had was to have my commercial appear on Jake Paul's channel. That would be a waste of my money. So I'm not going to spend a lot. So let me explain how ads work on YouTube. For those that don't know, when I buy an ad, I will say, I'm willing to spend up to X amount per view. So every time someone views my ad, I will give you X amount. Typically, the numbers are relatively low, between 1 cent, maybe 10 cents. If it's a really, really important ad and you want to compete, you can raise that really high. Here's what happens. If I say I will spend 10 cents per ad, and Coca-Cola says I will spend 20 cents per ad, guess whose ad gets played? Not mine. Google takes the highest bidder. If I can't choose where my content appears, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it. It's going to drop ad rates significantly. So here's the big challenge, I suppose. Ad rates will go down, but the ad spends will stay the same, right? If Coke has $50 million to spend, they're going to spend $50 million, but now the value of the ad has dropped significantly because they can't target specific demographics with their commercials. But the supply will not change. This means channels like mine, this is going to be nuts, man. I can only imagine my revenue skyrocketing to a ridiculous amount of money. Because now you're going to have people who want to target adult, content. They want to advertise for things not for children, and they can do that. And if the ad spends are going to be the same, but the value will drop dramatically, it's going to be a massive wealth inequality between adult channels and kids channels. So if you can make a channel for adults, but is still not swearing, not suggestive, kind of like cultural and political commentary with your favorite milquetoast fence sitter, you're going to face a windfall. Meanwhile, people like Game Theory, people like Casey Neistat, they are going to take a substantial hit in their revenue. So let me show you something. This is what Game Theory, they highlighted these rules. This is on YouTube. Tons of views on this. Intentionally aimed at kids. Arguable. Obviously, my content is not intentionally aimed at kids. When I make a video titled like Independent Voters Revolt Against Democrats, no one in their right mind would think a child is going to watch that. Includes characters, celebrities, or toys that appeal to children, including animated characters or cartoon figures. They don't. My videos don't contain that. But guess what? Game Theory does. Game Theory is general, like PG content, right? I wouldn't rate it G. It's not for kids, but it could be. Talking about Mario and other, video game characters and stuff. Yep. Think about every video game channel has a predominantly child audience. Well, that's Jake Paul. That's not really PewDiePie, but depends on what the definition of child is, under 18. Contains activities that appeal to children. Boom, there it is. Literally everyone. What doesn't appeal to kids? Like if you were playing golf, you could argue that that appeals to kids. Come on, kids play golf. You got, how do you think people become pro at golf when they're kids? And you might say, I don't know, man, the people who watch golf on TV are old, yes, but kids still play sports. And they will argue on the safe side, why would YouTube take that risk? And that brings us to the big takeaway. I think that game theory, revenue gone. You're going to see way more, you're going to see way less monetization, and you're going to see way more like sponsor spots. You already see Audible and Virtual Shield and all these companies. And what's the other one? Like the Dollar Shave Club. You're going to see way more. There's also some good news though. Those ad rates are going to go nuts. So if you're somebody who sells ads for like Dollar Shave Club, right? You're going to say, now listen, man, I reach 1 million viewers. And if you want to buy, it's expensive because we only go through you now. There's going to be massive changes. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but it's fair to say YouTube as we know it has officially come to an end. Starting January 1st, things are going to change dramatically. If all of these channels, they have a specific kind of content that attracts viewers that makes money, but they can't do it anymore. When they start seeing their money go down, they're going to start adapting. The content will change. Everything will become substantially more adult-oriented, which means less gaming channels. Gaming channels are lucrative. Sorry, not anymore. They're aimed at kids. So I don't know if YouTube has... Let's read more of the article to figure out, see what Variety has to say. They say YouTube is putting the onus on creators to comply with COPPA. If you fail to set your audience accurately, you may face compliance issues with the FTC or other authorities, and we may take action on your YouTube channel, according to YouTube's Help Center. Creators are subject to potential fines for running afoul of COPPA. According to the FTC, the law allows for civil penalties up to $42,000 per $42,530 per violation. According to the agency, however, the FTC considers a number of factors in determining the appropriate amount, including a company's financial condition and the impact a penalty could have on its ability to stay in business. That alone has sent shockwaves to the YouTube community and has led some creators to delete videos or threaten to leave YouTube altogether. This COPPA S is terrifying, Daniel Pitts, aka Doopy, a YouTube animator and voice actor, tweeted this week. My videos aren't directed to children, but I can still get fined $42K for marking my videos as meant for adults because it isn't mature enough? Because it can easily be mistaken? I'm heartbroken. YouTube was my dream. Slow down there, cowpoke. The FTC, I wouldn't call a particularly efficient organization in the sense that they don't make mistakes. Obviously, the FTC can make mistakes and have opinions you disagree with, but the idea that the FTC is going to come down on your YouTube channel because you mislabeled a single video, it's crazy to me how everyone is so terrified of the government. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be in a lot of ways, but they weaponize this fear. Like, you get fake phone calls from the IRS saying you owe them money and they're going to arrest you. Not true. They don't do that. You get a letter and they just keep sending you letters. When you owe the IRS money, they don't show up with like a SWAT team unless you get to a certain point. Yes, it's happened. But if you don't pay your taxes, eventually a guy shows up in a suit and he was like, just wanted to make sure you got the certified letter, and he walks away. I have had tax liability before that was like 2 years late that I didn't know about because I didn't get the letter. And it was just a letter saying you owe money. That was it. That was literally, I was like, oh, sorry about that. And I paid my taxes. The FTC isn't going to show up and try and destroy everything you have. They're going to show up and say, you need to make sure you err on the safe side and label these correctly. Okay. Not only that, if your video isn't, listen, a lot of people are going to claim my video's not made for kids. I swear. It's like, dude, if you're doing cartoons and it's like family-friendly comedy, okay, you're making videos for kids, right? I guess that's why people are worried. Some YouTubers are issuing dire predictions, like this one, about the impact of the platform's new COPPA rules. If it doesn't get more attention, you can pretty much expect the end for gaming, animation, and cartoon videos on YouTube. I completely agree with that. You can't, look, man, I gotta tell you, it is already ridiculously hard to run a high production level channel. Look at the content I produce here, right? I read the news, I turn the camera on, and I talk about what I know. It is low cost. Because of this, there's been a massive explosion of channels that do political commentary because of the ease of access and the ability to make a living doing it. I am not unique in this space. I mean, I am unique, Tim Pool, but there are a lot of people who do what I do. Maybe not as successfully as I do, and maybe more successfully. But the fact is, cartoons and animations, difficult. Now it's not even worth money, over. It's already hard enough with Patreon. You know, one of my favorite animators is David Firth. He does the salad finger stuff. It's probably top tier, some of the best content ever made. But it's already hard enough to dedicate all that time and energy to animating, and now you can just say it's for kids and you can't sell ads against it? You know what, man? This is going to change the landscape more than anyone can predict. But I'll tell you what, I've already started going through my accounts like, oh man, I can expect all that money to pour into my pocket. You're going to see the Young Turks, they are going to explode. Political content, adult humor is going to take off. I don't know what you do, but everyone's going to try and be doing it now. So in the end, I think what will really happen is, let me rewind a little bit. Am I really going to see a windfall and get rich off this? My revenue will likely go up. So will all political commentators. But with all of the other YouTubers now adapting to that, it's probably going to stay the same. Everyone's going to probably make around the same amount of money. The content will change dramatically. People will do everything in their power to make sure their content is for adults. Because for the most part, I don't have viewers. I think it's like less than 1% of the people who watch my content are under 18. Most people watch my content are like 25 to 34, I think is the demographic, followed by 35 to 54, and then 18 to 24. I think those are the numbers. And they're mostly dudes anyway. So you watching this, you are probably a 33-year-old man. Well, let's read a little bit more. There's another part of YouTube's COPPA compliance rules that is causing major concern. Starting in January 2020, YouTube will limit the data it collects for videos marked as made for kids under the government settlement. For starters, that means YouTube videos designated for kids will not be able to include targeted advertising. In addition, a whole slew of other features that depend on user data will be disabled, including comments, channel branding watermarks, the donate button, cards, end screens, live chat donations, notifications, and save to playlists and watch later. It is the end of YouTube as we know it. You know what, man? When you go to a place like Netflix where they control for the content produced, they don't have to deal with this. They don't sell ads, they sell subscriptions, and they screen everything that comes in. Perhaps a world in which users can create content on their own will no longer be the case. They say, plus the kid video designation will also apparently make them unsearchable. On Thursday, Perry Grip, a daytime Emmy-winning songwriter whose long-running YouTube channel features songs about food and animals, noticed that videos marked in YouTube for kids don't show up in Google search. Well, I got a video coming up in a few minutes. And guess what it's about? Excuse me. It is about Latino support for Donald Trump and the expansion of the evangelical immigrant community. I'm pretty sure children will not want to watch that. In no way is it aimed at them because they can't vote. and so advertisers can target the viewers because they're looking for voting age individuals because I talk politics. Now, it's true. I do talk about Star Wars sometimes, but it's typically a political slant. So I definitely will be affected by this in some way. But I tell you this. Almost everything I do is news-oriented, not for kids. So I'm not facing that threat. I know that even if I make a video about The Mandalorian, like I did the other day, I was mostly talking about, cultural issues and politics. And The Mandalorian was a backdrop. They could argue that it contains characters that are popular for kids, but I have no problem saying it's not. And if the FTC wants to argue that my commentary on intersectional feminism and how it affects the gaming community is something children would want to watch, by all means, I'm willing to have that argument. And if I'm wrong, so be it. I'll change that. But I really, really don't think so. I think a lot of people are overreacting, but I do think this will be this is a death knell for some big channels. There are political commentators who do more cultural stuff than me. I'm very, very political. But there are people who are inverted, where 80% of the content is video game commentary. But look, man, if you're talking about Star Wars, Fallen Order or whatever that game is called, and you're talking about the politics around it, I don't think you have to label that for kids. Don't overreact. Like the FTC is not run by robots. Some of them, it's stop being so terrified. If it turns out you did something wrong, the last thing they're going to do is destroy your business. And I assure you, they're going to say err on the side of safety. But yeah, I don't think you got to worry about getting a fine or having everything deleted. But I do think your money's going to dry up. You know what this means? Guess who will survive? Those who sell ads on their own. This is the end of YouTube as we know it. I will say it for the 50 billionth time. What makes YouTube work with individual creators is the ability to make content, and if it works, it works. If it gets views, you make money. But now that's changing, because if you want to make mass appeal content, like you know what? Let me end by saying this. I've talked about how I would make way more money doing a Minecraft channel. That is a fact. People have said Tim Pool's a grifter, and I'm like, dude, please. If I really wanted 1 million views, I would be playing Minecraft or Fortnite, okay? I play video games all the time. Okay, I'm moderately good at video games. I'm not gonna act like I'm a pro or anything, but I could make enjoyable gaming content and I get way more traffic. I could do way more culture commentary. I could talk about movies all day. I don't really do that. I talk politics all day and night. It's because I care about these things and what I find interesting. And if people don't want to watch that, guess what? They don't. I know that if I played games, I'd make money, but guess what? With these changes, the reverse is true. I now know that if people are going to see this, if you want to make money, talk about Donald Trump. If you want to make money, talk about Bernie Sanders. The last thing you want to do is ever include anything that could have anything to do with something kids might like. Boba Fett? Ooh, can't believe I just said that. That means it's for kids. It doesn't, but you get the point. So I guess you might also see something else. You might start seeing people open their videos with overtly adult things so that no one could ever argue it was for kids. Like, game theory, for instance, which I'm going to say it, man. I would never claim game theory is specifically for kids intentionally, but it does fall absolutely in all these categories. He talks about movies and games, film theory, game theory, and it's pop culture stuff that kids absolutely will watch. But I also want to make sure I'm clear too. I think the FTC is going to differentiate between like Blue's Clues and game theory. This is predominantly not for people under 13, but people under 13 could watch it. So, you know what, man? I think you might start seeing channels like Game Theory open the video with something overtly adult. Like every video will start by telling you the latest poll from, Donald Trump's approval rating was just seen spiking at 47%, which is a near high for the president. Now on to Game Theory. That way it can be like, look, I was talking. So not as overt as that, because obviously the FTC is going to be like, nice try, dude. But you will start seeing more adult-themed things, economics, business, politics, littered into stuff like this, so they can try and argue it's not for kids and make some of that green. But in the end, I'll just tell you what. It doesn't matter what the individual outliers do. It matters what the ecosystem does. And if the ecosystem is making a dramatic change where content like this can't make money, then people will stop making it. What do you think? Comment below. Stick around. I will see you all in the next segment, youtube.com/TimCast, where I talk about how Latino immigrants are evangelizing the U.S. and causing a boon in Christianity, along with Kanye West, who is doing the same thing. Man, the future looks strange, doesn't it? Looks more conservative and Christian. I will see you all at 4 p.m. on youtube.com/TimCast.